All right, we are live in the GHL Mastery Group. Today, we've got what I think is probably one of the most important how-to in this workshop series that we're going to be doing, and that is building a simple to follow, easy and organized customer journey when you're building out your snapshots. So in the past couple of weeks, we've done all the basics. So setting up your custom fields, your custom values, building your surveys, your forms, your funnels, and getting people into your system. But now once they're in the system, the most important thing that you can do is keep it super clean, super organized, and follow a customer journey structure. So customer journey is something that everybody that you can see right now inside this live stream right now from the GHL Mastery private group, they've heard me say this a bunch. And so they're going to fully understand what I'm saying. But for those of you that don't understand what I'm saying when I talk about customer journey, is that when we develop and we build systems inside High Level, we build it with a customer journey in mind. And so that is from the moment that they step into your ecosystem to the moment that you have sold or booked or done whatever the case may be, you need to have a goal that is going to guide that customer journey. And so we're going to talk about how do you actually put that together. And the second piece of this, which I think is the most important piece, is keeping your structures organized. Because if your structures are not organized, you're going to have two big problems in the long run. Problem number one is that if you have to go back and troubleshoot, which you inevitably will have to do, it can be an absolute nightmare to find things. If you've got really complex workflows and this workflow talks to that workflow and there's a bunch of if-else statements, and while they look really, really cool, trust me when I say this, it creates an absolute nightmare for you as an agency when you have to go and troubleshoot these types of things. So that's reason number one. We're going to build a simple solution that is easy to follow. And reason number two is that this system, when you follow this to a T, it makes your customers understand what's happening. So I had this problem early on is because I went crazy and I built all these wicked wild workflows. But when I had customers that came in and tried to work this, like, why did that message get sent? And what happens when they're in this stage? And how do I send this email? And how do they had so many questions, and I was just constantly in there tweaking things and showing them how to do it. But the way that I'm going to show you guys how to do this today, which again, by the way, this is the very early stages of what we are going to talk about on the webinar next week, which is kind of how we actually build a simple to follow structure. So this is actually the starting point. You guys are going to get a little bit of a taste and a sneak peek of what we actually do on Thursday with today's. So we've gone through assets. Now we're going to start to build that customer journey. And in my opinion, like I said, this is one of the most important steps. Now, as always, if you are watching this live on Facebook, let us know that you're watching it. Let us know that you're live, because we like to know if people are actually watching our stuff or not. And if you're not, it doesn't really matter, because eventually somebody will on YouTube. And if you're watching it on YouTube, obviously you're going to be watching it on the replay. So just let us know that you're watching it there as well. So VIP folks, you guys ready to dive into setting up and building your customer journey? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to be building this out on a Google Doc first, and you're going to understand why in just a minute. So here's a really simple, basic Google Doc. And I did this on purpose. I didn't want to set anything up for this because I want you guys to try to follow along and do this yourself. Now, I will make this available to everybody when I'm done. But for now, I just want you to understand how simple this is, first and foremost, and just how do we actually organize this whole thing. So first things first, when I talk about customer journey, I already mentioned it. It's like from the moment that you get a lead to the moment that that lead does the thing that you want to do, right? Whether that's to book an appointment or to purchase a product or whatever the case may be for your specific niches. And so one of the things that we do is we build our pipeline accordingly. So we build our pipeline in the steps that we want people to take every single step of the way. Okay, so can anybody guess what the first step is going to be?
Make a folder?
Sort of. You're a few steps ahead of me, but right now we're going to build the pipeline only. So what would be the first stage in any pipeline?
New lead.
Boom, new lead. So I am going to label this, and you're going to see this in just a second. 001, not 0001, new lead. Okay. Now, when you get a new lead, what would you say would be the objective? So Facebook, a lot of people run Facebook ads. We know, because we've run Facebook ads, that Facebook ads are terrible when it comes to lead quality. So one of the first things that we want to do is we want to confirm that that person is the person that filled out the form. So we want to get that lead to reply and let us know that they are real. Okay. So we're going to go 002. And again, the naming convention will make sense in just a minute. Responded. And I'll just do, for the sake of this, /confirmed. Okay. And keep in mind, we are building out, I should put this here. We are building out our pipeline here. And we're just going to walk through this logically. Okay. Now, once you've got a new lead, that new lead has responded and confirmed that they are real, what would be the next goal that we would have for this particular lead? Let's just say we're doing like a high ticket agency, $1,500 a month
attempted
retainer.
contact first before responded.
Okay, well, let's walk through that. So new lead. So I'm talking about building a fully automated system here, by the way. So it's kind of like, how can we take the user error out of it as much as humanly possible? But I will say this, once you get a responded lead, this is manual follow-up most of the time. Okay. And the reason that I say that, I was actually just going over this with another one of our clients. They're like, can't we automate all of this? And I said, well, we could automate some of it, but you also have to remember that you're dealing with dynamic conversations, dynamic people that are going to ask dynamic questions. And trust me when I say this, if you try to do that in a workflow to create the right response and you're not using AI, it is going to be a mess, and B, it's going to mess up. So
absolutely, we see it all the time.
Yeah.
And so, really quick to touch again a little bit on what you said there, Ali. Should you have a attempted one? Possibly, but the way that we build everything is we assume they took no steps to get to the next stage. So our new lead, we know that we're attempting to contact the entire time to that new lead. So that's what that stage is for.
And again, what I'm actually trying to do in the new lead stage is I'm actually trying to filter out the duds, right? And I think that when you start to work with clients, one of the things that they're going to say to you a lot, especially clients who have dealt with other marketing agencies in the past, their number one thing that they're going to say is the leads sucked, right? And so from my perspective as a marketing agency and somebody who's building a system that's supposed to make their lives easier, I don't want to send them every single lead for them to be like, go, 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 right? Contact these leads, because this, A, they're not going to do it. And B, they're going to end up calling a lot of terrible leads and they're going to get frustrated. So my goal in step one is really to filter out the crap, right? Get people to actually say, yes, that was me. And I do want that thing that I opted into, right? So that's for me, that's my goal of step number one. Now, attempt to contact could be a great stage after responded. So we've got them responded. They've confirmed that they are who they say they are. And now we want to actually go through and let's do it. 003. So I'm going to use your recommendation, attempt to contact, right? So we're going to actually do attempt to contact in this particular use case. So why are we attempting to contact them? It's either going to be probably to book a call or probably to sell them a service, whatever the case may be, right? But in most cases, it is going to be to book a call, right? So you would think that the next stage here is going to be 004, booked appointment, but it's actually not. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm actually going to make this 005, and I'm going to put in 004 here. What do you think 004 is? If you had to make a wild guess, going once, going twice.
What was it, Ali?
He said not interested. But keep in mind,
you're almost there.
You're close. Keep in mind that we're trying to keep this a linear path. So we're trying to keep this a straight line as much as we possibly can. And with sales, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards, right? And so for me, what I actually do when I build my pipeline structures is a lot of people will put their appointment no-shows or their appointment cancellations after the appointment booked. But what I like to do is say, well, if they didn't show up, they're not moving forward in my pipeline, they're moving backwards, right? Because if they're moving forwards, that means that you're closer to reaching your goal of either that sale or whatever the case may be. So I do appointment no-show here / canceled, right? Now, one thing that's important, and we'll get into this in a different week when we're building our workflows around this structure, is that you need to allow contacts to move backwards here.
Technically, it's to move to any stage,
Yeah,
but that means we can move backwards.
we can move them backwards, and that's going to be when you set up your update opportunity. You're going to want to make sure that you allow them to move backwards in that step so that they can move backwards to appointment no-show or cancellation. Okay. Now we've got a booked appointment. They showed up. We had a conversation with them. This can go one of two ways, right? They're either interested or they're not interested. You can have them, actually, I guess we could do three ways, right? Either they're not interested at all, they're kind of interested, but they're not ready, and they're really interested and they're ready. Like they're a hot prospect. So let's kind of break that down. And here's how I normally do this, because every single pipeline should have some sort of a nurture sequence or a nurture component. Now, if they're in nurture, they're not farther along in the sales process. They're still a little bit further back, right? And so we're going to do a nurture sequence here. Now we're going to have 007. And this is going to be like maybe we'll call it a warm lead or an interested, where you need